I'm sure very soon we're going to hear some more drama about Black Myth Wukong. However, I want to talk about the interests on all sides. Now, I game on PC, so I already have Black Myth Wukong. Just not enough time to beat the game yet. There's still some latency issues. If the developers ever bother to go around solving that, I'll be happy to go ahead and beat the game. Game requires a lot of precision, and I'm not in for more frustration with, people beating me in a video game. I already play Mortal Kombat 1, and anybody who plays that game, you know that there's enough BS to go around, and I do not need any more smoke in terms of all of this. But what I wanted to talk about is very interesting because there are three players in this whole thing, and then there are three different, schools of thought who all want to see one side of this whole thing prevail. In my case, I couldn't be bothered. However, because the gaming industry is very interesting, I want to talk about this because I think it's very important that we know what all is going on. I mean, think about it. We know PlayStation's position in the market right now. Exclusivity has been kind of one of their weapons they've wielded for the longest time, but it seems like the economy and the market forces are not really allowing for that as much anymore. Add that to the live service games. PlayStation is in a very interesting and precarious position because these developers, we've seen at least 3 or 4 back away from not even touching the exclusivity context. Koei Tecmo, Pearl Abyss, Square Enix. I mean, these 3 have basically decided, we need to back away. And then Ilphonic. You can throw Death Stranding's developer in there, Kojima later as 5, but it is what it is. I'll give you those 4. Let's go with them. Black Myth Wukong. PlayStation fans would love for this game to never have been money-hatted or blocked by PlayStation. Why? Because it's going to prove some point that developers don't care about Xbox or that the Series S was a mistake because for some strange reason, there's an obsession with the Series S from the other side. Even within the Xbox community, you can see people among the Xbox folk say that the Series S was a mistake. I think it was genius. You see, it's a small entry point into the new generation of hardware, and it's paid off for Xbox. I, as somebody who, when I wanted to come into PC gaming, thank God that Nvidia and AMD were still beating each other, and punching each other on the head. My GPU was almost the same price as my CPU, and that CPU was not even the best thing ever. But now, because of that competition, AMD has stuff everywhere for everybody. Like we make so much, PC builds and different variations just because AMD is a thing. And Intel is now coming in to help everybody by bringing $1,440, $250 graphics cards to the market. A very interesting time. When you put it all together, there is a side too where PlayStation understands the PR nightmare that this can be, where it's touted and beat its chest that it can provide all these games to its audiences and be able to procure these games. But now, one game that is actually very interesting, Xbox community who had seen the game coming to their community no longer see it again, and the developers have not yet outrightly come out to refute any kind of, I would say, claim or accusation that there is a money-hatted deal in place. So what are the interests here? The Xbox community would like to see PlayStation in that light of, you're just basically money-hatting games because you don't got it. The PlayStation community would like to say, Series S sucks. We already told you. In fact, let me show you how much vitriol there is, because this is very interesting. If you think I'm making this stuff up, or if you think I'm just coming out with just something that I want to, come in and drum up, I already have a commenter that already called the Xbox community a pathetic community. Why? Because I said that developers are interested in making games for Xbox. Look at this comment. The ending, this is on my last video, where he reassures bots that actually the developers do like them. What a pathetic community. This person has been a commenter on the channel, does not like Xbox gamers, calls you guys a pathetic community because I said for every Wukong, there is a Wu Chang. And it bothers them that people would want to make video games for Xbox. This, to me, has become one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. So when I tell you that there are schools of thought and that there are interests around and across the board, you got to understand that these interests are very, very concerned about how the outcome of this Wukong game comes out. What's even more damning is, in terms of everything that's being looked at, people have looked at different, everybody's now become very much, everybody's become very much sensitive to the realities of, hardware and the way it interacts with software. So people are now looking and saying, okay, what kind of hardware is inside the Series S? Let's replicate it. Digital Foundry went ahead and did the job. They took some hardware that was representative of the Series S. They played Black Myth Wukong at 25 FPS. In fact, some hyper PlayStation fans were using it to mock Xbox owners, saying, oh, what did we tell you? So again, we're wondering, what's the issue here? In the case of Game Science, they now understand that this is probably possibly a PR nightmare. They've put the Xbox, fandom and the Xbox community in second place or third place. With that in mind, what that means is their bid to launch other games within that ecosystem is now hampered based on the fact that this community may look at them and say, if you don't bring your games to us, the day that you decide, we'll just probably ignore you too. It's that simple. I'm starting to see people say they're no longer interested in it anymore. And the game is supposed to carry anthologies and carry sequels that follow it. So somebody was not thinking about the future. I mean, hindsight is 2020. They knew they were going to blast 20 plus million of it on Steam. They would not have taken an exclusivity deal. You can bet that. That 20 million, a game that sold more than God of War Ragnarok, they would not have taken an exclusivity deal. What extra money would they need? They would have been able to basically secure the next 20 million copies. Guess who's going to get the next 20 million copies? It's Elden Ring. You see, that's the thing about today's gaming scene is you no longer can hoard, nor can you harbor, or I would say hold gamers hostage to go buy a console because of your, exclusive. That's no longer happening. This is why the interests are all looking to see how this thing all pans out. And I'm here for it. I want to see how it goes. And I've already made, I've made multiple videos discussing this and talking about this. You see everybody running all over the place, right? Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. In fact, it's so interesting that every single thing now, everybody needs to cling on to. Because apparently, one game is now going to change the world. It doesn't. After 2 months, it's already forgotten. It's already forgotten. Nobody will care anymore. So again, I've already kind of posited my own, position on this matter. The developers, should they decide that they want to come out and actually get the goodwill of the fan base, they have to come in and say, there is no exclusivity deal. That's it. That's it. If they don't come out and say that, then they basically leave room to foment what I think is a possible PR nightmare for them. Because there are avenues that they could have taken to pretty much go ahead and pacify, what's going on. But they're comfortable. However, now they have a very big issue on their hands in terms of how they're going to navigate this whole thing later down the road, because they want to bring the game to Xbox. I hope, no one's forgotten that there's an official statement saying, we're looking forward to, or we're working with Game Science to bring the game to Xbox, and Game Science saying that the game has not been optimized to their, standards. And when it is, they'll be happy to communicate more. I mean, you know that, right? And, contrary to the response we got from that audience member, I mean, that is actually what the developer said. And the audience member called the Xbox community, y'all, pathetic for the truth. There's your sign. Like, that's it right there. That's it right there. Apparently, the Xbox community by some people is hated because you get a benefit that they get, a benefit that you were entitled to, but it was taken from you. It's now made you pathetic. Because actually, you know what makes you pathetic in the Xbox community? You have options. You have access to games, and you don't have to worry about one game that didn't come to your platform. You see, back then, they used to make it be a big deal, but no longer is it a big deal. So here you go. I told y'all on the Xbox community, as a PC gamer looking from outside, I don't have any emotional nor brand loyalty to all this nonsense. Trust me, as much as I would say all this stuff, I am not a fan of consoles in the way that they're established. But I would love to see truth, and I would love to see objectivity. So I'm actually bound to pointing out this madness in this, context and in this scenario. So what's going on now is you're going to get vitriol. Why? Because you have the audacity to actually have games and not plead and beg like a peasant, like an Xbox peasant. My games, we don't have games. Please bring games to our platforms. But now you're looking and saying, okay, well, if they want to make games to it for us, they can go ahead while they're making the game, while they're optimizing the game. Where's Avowed? Where's Doom? Where are all these games? Aha. And where's Death Stranding while we're at it too? See? The tides are turning. People have bet on the wrong horse. So you bet that they're going to have a whiplash reaction when all of this starts to manifest. Let them keep. You see, when I hear a lot of these folks say this stuff, there's no way they can hide from me when I can sense that, a little bit of that insecurity that's there, because a lot of them have basically said, yeah, we got the best console out there. Well, you bet too early. You didn't wait long enough. The console generation barely started and you already declared a win, but you didn't know that things were working in the background. So again, I grabbed my popcorn, as one of my audience members, James, would say. Shout out to you. Peace out.